One of the best parts about the community is the willingness to share not only the things that go well, but also the willingness to share the things don't. I think one is just being cognizant that these are so many other new factors that need to be taken into consideration of a build, which people didn't have to before.
Welcome to FinOps in Action. I'm your host, Alon Arvat. Each week, I'll sit down with FinOps experts to explore the toughest challenges between FinOps and engineering. This show is brought to you by Point 5, empowering teams to optimize cloud costs with deep detection and remediation tools that drive action. Hello, everyone. Welcome to FinOps in Action. Today, I have a very special guest that I'm excited to host. Our guest today brings over 2 decades of wisdom as a solution architect and cloud practice consultant, and wrote a FinOps cover for Apete song by Rosé and Bruno Mars. I'm happy to welcome Head of FinOps and Clarity Business Management at BMO, Swapna Samuel. Swapna, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Thank you for having me.
I'm happy to have you. Absolutely. And before we're talking about the cover to Apete, maybe you will also sing to us a bit. I would love to know what is the one thing you got wrong when you started your FinOps career?
Oh, that's a fun question. I think the one advantage that I had when we started the FinOps is the FinOps Foundation was pretty much running very well. And so the first thing we did was go to the FinOps X conference, because one of the things I wanted to do was learn from the mistakes that other people had made and try to avoid making them myself. And so the best part about joining such a vast community, and this is a shout out to the FinOps org, is they do such a phenomenal job, and everyone is so willing to share that right off the bat, top leaders were able to say, I wish I knew this. And so when we started off our FinOps practice, we managed to start it off on the right foot because of the expertise of many who had started before us. So when we started our FinOps practice, we made sure it was a group of both finance and tech people from the start. We knew we had to get quite a bit of a collaborations right. So getting that springboard, launch, I think was really beneficial to us. So a lot of mistakes avoided actually thanks to that, I would say.
Wow, that's great. And I think it's also very special that you start with the FinOps Foundation and how they help you making less mistakes. I think it's very special. And you're also an ambassador to the FinOps Foundation. Is that correct?
That is correct. And like I said, after joining the community and seeing so much that they had to offer, right? And I think one of the best parts about the community is the willingness to share not only the things that go well, but also the willingness to share the things don't. So 2 years ago, when we were starting from scratch, being able to leverage that kind of wisdom was so priceless in terms of us being able to accelerate where we are. We are now mature in our practice because we got to go at that accelerated pace. And we continue to do that, right? Working and hearing from alongside various leaders, seeing their challenges, looking across industries, and being able to get a head start has always been great with the FinOps Foundation and its members.
Absolutely. And obviously, you can get a lot of knowledge from the sessions at FinOps X and other events that the foundation are running. But I always feel that it's not enough. First of all, these sessions always sound like everything is perfect. Everything is automated. Everything is scalable. Like you have an autonomous FinOps function to every company out there. When the reality is that everyone is facing a different type of challenges. And that's why I think, for example, that it's not enough to watch the YouTube recordings of all the sessions after the event, but it's actually important to get there and meet the people and hear how things happen in reality. Do you feel the same? And how do you encourage others to do that?
Oh, I actually 100% agree with you. And it does depend on the sessions, right? I think some speakers are very uh, candid about what they do get right. But because the sessions are explicit to a topic and time really flies fast when you're presenting. I've spoken in 2 years, for the past 2 years in the sessions. And so definitely I encourage people, meet with the speakers after, connect with LinkedIn, DM them. And more than often, you'll see everyone is willing to share. Stock their LinkedIn posts, if you don't mind. And see a lot of times people say, oh, guess what? I looked at this. I didn't realize this element was also there. Look for it, right? Um, I remember one of the first things that struck me when I first attended the FinOps X conference was someone sharing about issues with billing invoices. Until then, that was never an area I thought we had to look at. And so you just don't know what you don't know, but definitely encourage people, join the community groups, reach out to people. Everyone is really friendly. DM them, get on a call, coffee chat, and definitely, like you said, attend the sessions where the topic uh, entices you or is up in your wheelhouse, and then definitely make the time to meet with the speakers. That is the golden hour of the FinOps sessions, the connections you make. It's all about that.
I agree, and I can tell this community is very, very welcoming. I'm also only a few years in the community and I already feel an integral part of it, thanks to a lot of very, very good people who found the time to meet with me and teach me and guide me. So 100%. And they are the ambassadors, which in this is their job to actually help get people inside and get them on board.
Absolutely.
Cool. And Swapna, I want to ask you about a certain topic that I know you had a lot of good experience, and I'm sure you'll have good tips to share with us. And that's around the engagement with engineers, and more specifically, how to get engineers to take action. Do you have any golden tips for us?
Yes. So people will tell you this about me, to say that if you tell me to do something without giving me a reason, I'm really going to push back and say why, right? Like you can't just tell me do this and not give me a good rationale. It's just human tendency. And I think oftentimes, and especially me, I come from a solution architect, heavy tech background, and have over a decade experience working in the financial industry. So that's the mesh that I come from. And so when you tell me about engineers having a hard time, it's actually really hitting home, because I know that's the background I come from, right? So when someone says you're not building something right, uh, that is kind of offensive. And I think that's where the messaging needs to change, right? It's not that we're not building things right. It's that, how do we build it to maximize value, right? Because the example I like to say is, if I need to go from point A to point B at 40 kilometers or per hour, I can do that with a Kia, or I can do that with a Ferrari. What are the other requirements that can help me get to that, right? Because if you just say, give me the fastest speed, I'll give it to you. But if you say maximize the value and minimize the waste, that's a whole different requirement. And what has helped us is giving that perspective as to why we're asking, giving that perspective to say, this is how the cloud pricing works, which is so different from our on prem infrastructure, right? On prem, once we had it, there was very less to think about it. And so I think one is just being cognizant that these are so many other new factors that need to be taken into consideration of a bill, which people didn't have to before. And so I think being sensitive to that, and then always showing and explaining the why and the impact of the why, uh, I think that makes all the difference, right? It's kind of like when we had to optimize first. It's not like anyone wants to spend an extra 100,000. That's never the intent. But it's not having that transparency or the visibility to it. And so one of the first things that we wanted to do was bring that cost component transparency over to our engineering stakeholders, our application stakeholders. And so when everyone sees the why, obviously we are passionate as a firm together and we want to do what's best for the firm, then everyone is like, yeah, let's do this well, right? And I think it was just that messaging. that I think is key. And plus, in BMO, we have a whole winning culture where collaborative work is at the foundation of our ethos. And so I'm not saying it's perfect, but as we get to go through and really get through the details of the why and the impacts, I think that's what has made all the difference with us. Plus, what we do is we also run something called an office hours, which is on a monthly basis. We invite all our stakeholders, anyone who has any fingers in the pie of cloud. So, engineers, application holders, business managers, finance officers, name it, they're there on it. And we talk through different topics, both from a FinOps lens, plus we invite other application stakeholders or engineering stakeholders to share their FinOps story. And so when we have engineering stakeholders or application stakeholders sharing their FinOps lens story, that makes it even more real. And so that is something that has proved a lot successful for us to help build that collaboration. It's one thing hearing another team say it, but when another team from your own circle has tried it and checked it and seen its value, you get to talk a different language almost and make it feel like home.
That's actually a very, very interesting practice, which I would like to discuss even further. So, first of all, if I understand correctly, when you say office hours, doesn't mean, hey, I'm available at this time. It means everyone needs to join and hear of these stories, if I'm correct. And
That is
also,
correct.
I would guess, and I would be happy to hear how you do it,
Mm.
that you scout for the relevant FinOps stories and then prepare people to share them. How does it work?
Yeah, well, you are correct. It is dedicated sessions. It's dedicated monthly sessions. We have it on our internal site with the dates published. Everyone who has a piece in the cloud, we are aware of that distribution list. So those meeting invites are on the calendars. Plus, they are able to join, share it, and take it forth. I'm backed by a wonderful team who actually takes care of all of this for me, and so I just get to join. But they are spending a lot of time looking and seeing what is uh, at the key peak interest or the key struggle or hurdle amongst the stakeholders because things change every month, right? And we keep it sensitive to what's happening within BMO based on different things that could have triggered different other aspects. We know what is on everyone's mind, so we try to cater to that. And the team does a fantastic job in not only just helping people grow in FinOps maturity, but also showcasing the wins, which is important because everyone plays such a key collaborative role. So having those stakeholders share how those wins came up is phenomenal. And like I said, I have a fantastic team, and so we have one person who is focused on getting the materials, another person who's like, okay, who do we invite, what's happening right now. And of course, everyone is so collaborative that their willingness to share the story and to be real about this was the challenge we faced. We didn't know this is what happened. We contacted XYZ teams. And so, anyone else, if you're facing an issue and you don't know who to connect, here are the stakeholders. Because we are a large organization, and sometimes some people want to do the right things, they just don't know who to. And even the smallest things like that, I feel these office hours help bring together because it really knits us together as a group from the different perspectives, and you get to know different people from different sides, right? From the finance stake of the house, or different application stakeholders, or different people on the engineering side, whether they're the platforms or the services. Uh, it's great to hear from them, and everyone's been doing such a fantastic job.
I'm sure it is. And I think it really speaks volume to your culture because I hear many Finos people talking about creating recurring meetings to hold engineering accountable, right? To tell, hey,
Yeah.
that's how well you're doing, or that's how bad you're doing. And you're taking a completely different approach of like just a place, a safe place, if you may, where people can only share, and that's how you raise awareness and maybe create some positivity around FinOps. Do you see, or let's ask a different question: what are the reactions of engineers that attend these office hours?
I think they love it. I think we should get them on the show to see what they say. But no, we do have a good rapport. Obviously, it's a rapport that's built over the year. Definitely, when you start a new team or a new practice, everyone has their doubts. Obviously, it's not like everyone gets a smooth running start. It was all rainbows and candies from the start, because no one knows which perspective that you're coming from. But we're 2 years into the practice, and like I said, the winning culture ethos is so ingrained into who we are that after a few months or quarters of going through this, everyone just comes around. And I also think it's because, I don't know if you've heard this saying. There's a saying that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And we want to go really far as a bank, right? And as an institute, as a firm together. And so we have to do this collaboratively. There's no other way. And everyone brings such a unique perspective to it, right? And that willingness actually speaks a lot to everyone within the different groups, right? So I can't take any of the credit. I think uh, definitely been blessed to have such amazing stakeholders across all the different groups, because we get to have those hard talks with our finance counterparts. We get to have that with our business managers, our application stakeholders, cloud leads, our operations team, our platform, our services, and across CSPs, their different groupings within it. And the willingness that we've seen is definitely a huge factor to our success. There's no other way we'd have gotten this far without it being collaborative. If not, that's a very hard thing to get through.
It's really awesome to listen to you while seeing the picture behind you that reads "Love never fails."
That's actually true. Yeah,
So it sounds like it's a way of life.
it is a way of life.
That's great. Okay, and let's move on because I have so many topics I want to cover with you.
Sure, sure.
And the next one is actually around your title, which says Clarity Business Management. Can you share with us what does that mean?
Sure. So I actually have the privilege of heading two teams within BMO. One is the FinOps practice, and the other is the Clarity Business Management. And so, without getting into too many details, what that is it is the entire system that handles our technology development dollars. So I get to see all the spend that comes in, how it gets allocated out to the various projects, who's paying, who's supplying, the entire solution designs around it, that system, all of that rests under my portfolio as well, which is a beautiful combination because you get to see the spend, you also get to see how it translates, what all the budgets are, how we're doing financially, all of that. So it's definitely been a great combination to have. And so kudos to my boss and my execs who gave me that portfolio, because it's such a perfect fit that it gives you a really good end-to-end perspective. And the way we roll up under is we actually roll up under strategy and transformation, which is excellent. So we don't roll up under engineering as a group. We roll up under strategy and transformation. So we get to be part of that big picture and really take a hard look of where we are. And yeah, it's been fantastic, I think. So kudos to my execs who had that insight of saying, let's pull all of this together. So they get credit.
Yes. And do you feel that in the future, maybe it will be an integral part of FinOps?
I think FinOps will continue to grow in scope because, like we've seen with the introduction of FinOps scopes and looking at applying those FinOps principles to on prem costs as well, that doesn't necessarily mean the handling of those systems would be under FinOps, but I think it'll always be a very meshed system, right, of working together. And I think wherever dollars are spent within an institute, I think FinOps should have a lens into it because that's where the value is.
That's great. And Swapna, I know that at the last FinOps X, you had a session about business value. Can you share with us, first of all, what is business value in the context of FinOps? And maybe give us some gist of your session.
Oh, business value is my favorite topic. So one of the reasons why we talk about business value is you have to know why you're doing what you're doing, right? And oftentimes we start off with the right intents, no different than optimizations and or setting up some cloud. We start off with the right intent, but if we don't keep measuring along the way our spend, we realize the outcomes don't necessarily match our intent. It's no different than business, like than that when it comes to business value. So business value is the larger question behind a product. Uh, so when I look at a product or something that's being built, at the very beginning, we may not know a lot. We may know very little and say, here's the reason why I'm doing it. And so that is our drivers. So here's why I'm doing something. Now, in order for me to get to that, what is it I need to do? And then once I get there, what have I learned? What value have I gotten from it? That's your business value. And so the only way you can actually effectively do that is if you one define the drivers as to what is it I want by getting there, continuously measuring, am I still getting what I intended to get through that journey, right? Because as I'm doing my bills, and if I start seeing deviations from what I thought, you get to ask the questions, are these good deviations? Because not all deviations are bad. Things change in the market. So many other factors come in. And maybe these deviations are good. But if that's the case, do I need to change what my original intent is from where I'm going? Do I need to change what I'm measuring to see, am I still getting the strategic value, what I'm getting? Am I changing scope? Am I changing intent? Am I changing impact? Those things are only aspects we'll get it if we continuously have our checkpoints. So having that business value is really important because outside of business value, if we don't look at it, then all we're measuring is just cost. And cost alone isn't the right picture. It's kind of like I don't know about you, but I love different countries' street food, and I think street food is really great. And so, if you were to tell me that, oh, here's $5 and this is what I got, like, let me explain to you the value. So, dollars outside of value don't really give you the right picture. Like, in fact, it can be misleading. Even if I gave you a high bill and I said, this is what I got, and if you don't understand the value of it, like um, a true vintage autographed, once in a lifetime signed copy of something key, if you don't understand the value, then you don't understand the cost that's gone into it. And so, cost alone can be a very misleading factor, both positively and negatively. And so, to give the true picture is where business value comes into play. And that's where we are driving towards ensuring we have business cases that is not a once and a done. It starts off as very high level, it starts off very strategic. And as we keep going along, it gets periodically, progressively more detailed so that we are able to see, are we getting the intended outcomes that we wanted?
And Swapna, if I'm trying to simplify business value,
Yep.
and I might be oversimplifying here, okay, would you say that it's moving from measuring and monitoring cost to monitoring unit economics and waste as two topics? Is that correct on a high level, or am I missing anything?
I think those are portions of it. Economics helps us measure efficiency for sure, right? Uh, what we do is we do measure, use that as an internal benchmark against our various lines of business to do it. Uh, I won't say it's the entire component. It's a small portion of it because what business value does is, like, say, for example, if I'm launching a product and I'm saying that, oh, guess what? This is going to improve my quality of what's being developed, then I expect my release time to be faster. I expect my count of defects to be lower. And so by capturing clearly what my outcomes are or what I'm trying to get, you automatically start measuring differently. So it's beyond unit eco. It basically drives what are the KPIs for this specific product. So you start getting very product centric and start looking and measuring to the right KPIs so that you now are able to check, am I getting the value for what this particular product is intended to do? So it's a lot more specific to that. But overall, it is to ensure what we thought we're getting, are we really getting?
And do those KPIs also extend beyond cost? Or are you saying within cost, you have a lot of other KPIs on top of unit economics and waste measurement?
Yes, no. So those do extend beyond cost, and those will be outside of the FinOps lens. But where we will be tracking is to ensure that the respective teams who are handling those products, are they able to ensure that their KPIs are aligned to their goals, right? The FinOps piece will continue to measure from a dollar benefits perspective. Obviously, there are non-financial benefits as well, but ensuring that we can track that so we can show the true total cost of ownership value, not just from the dollar perspective, but also all the other benefits that you're getting from it, right? Because if you had to put a dollar amount to everything, it is a little tricky, but ensuring you have your total cost and now seeing before I got 5 features, now I get 15, but here's my dollar, here's the value. It gets a little complicated, but it's definitely worth it.
I'm sure it does. And you mentioned the KPIs quite a few times. Are there specific KPIs that you monitor and you feel are important?
They are very specific to what the driver is, right? So what we do is we want to make sure that we are capturing what is the driver for that initiative, right? So I'm starting an initiative. Why am I doing it? Is it for agility? Is it for Internet of Things, artificial intelligence? If it's to promote AI, great. But what is the outcome I'm expected to get? I'm expected to get lesser time spent on XYZ. So if that is one of your drivers, then I'm expecting then XYZ outcomes again. So the question then gets asked, how will you measure these outcomes? And we're not saying you have all the answers at the very beginning, but that's why it's the beauty about business cases is it's progressive. We start off with strategic high level, and then we go into details as we get into very uh, product centric and very specific to that initiative and its associated KPIs. Because there are general KPIs that are good to measure from a cost perspective, those will always remain standard. But to truly know business value, it has to be very product centric KPIs.
Very nice. And I can tell you, Swapna, that by now I'm convinced that you have one, a great culture at BMO, and two, a very mature perspective on FinOps. And I'm sure that your practice is as mature. So thank you so much for sharing with us all of that. I would like to learn more about you on the personal level. So, first of all, today you live in Toronto, correct?
That is correct. Good sunny tone.
Nice. And are you originally from Toronto?
I am a Canadian citizen, but I have a pretty vast history. So I was born in the Middle East, actually, and then grew up. I know that you'll find that fun, but but then did my schooling and university in India, and then joined a consulting firm. And with consulting, you tend to fly quite a bit. So did that for a good decade before deciding, okay, I really like Canada. Let's make this my home. And that's how I ended up in Canada.
Yes. No, Canada is very nice indeed, I have to say.
Yes.
I've traveled there a couple of times and always a great experience. And Swapna, what do you like to do outside of work for fun?
Ooh, so I am slightly boring as a person outside of work, but I do love reading. I love hanging at home with my close friends and hanging around. My family lives outside of Canada, so I fly down to visit them. So I have brother and family again in the Middle East. I have my parents in India, but a lot of friend family times, a lot of reading. I'm trying to think if there's anything like super fun that I do. No, I think I'm fairly very quiet outside of work.
Writing FinOps covers for songs.
Yeah, that is entertaining. Yes, I used to. I think I used to love writing poetry as a kid, and so the moment I thought, oh, let's write parody songs, the Rose and Bruno Mars song was obviously topping the charts. Everyone was putting it on the radio. It was on every Instagram reel. So I was like, I just had to. It was fun. Yeah. I do enjoy mentoring. That is something that I do with a passion. So typically university kids who are looking to see where they want to go. I think that's been a passion for a good 2 decades. So that's something I've done consistently as well. Yeah. But yes, parody songwriting, I definitely do it. Creative writing as a whole, I think.
Cool. And is there a place where we can find this song online?
Yes, if you want to know that, you can check out my LinkedIn profile. It'll be there amongst my posts.
That's great. That's great. Really, really cool. I actually going right now when we finish recording to your LinkedIn to find it. And Swapna, so you're obviously a FinOps ambassador. You enjoy helping others, get them into FinOps. What is the best way to reach out to you if I'm a FinOps practitioner or want some guidance or to consult with you?
Just DM me on LinkedIn. That's the best way. It doesn't matter if you're a FinOps practitioner. It doesn't matter which part of the globe you're from. Just a week ago, I had a university student who wanted just basic interview tips. So it wasn't even related to FinOps either. So honestly, it doesn't matter. We have one life to live as much as we can to make an impact. I'm a strong believer we should. And so any help, if there's anything, please just DM. Just don't be offended if I take a few days to respond. I can catch up a lot in the evenings or on weekends. So as long as you don't mind waiting for a few days, definitely just DM me.
Okay, sounds great. You heard her. DM. Swapna, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me. This was fun.
Of course, and I really appreciate you joining and sharing your experience. I had a lot of fun and really enjoyed the conversation. I also want to thank our listeners for joining in and listening through the entire episode. I'm sure you have a lot of fun. Swapna, thank you again for joining us. This has been another fascinating, fun episode of FinOps in Action. See you next time.
That wraps up another episode of FinOps in Action. Thank you for joining. For show notes and more, please visit finopsinaction.com. This show is brought to you by Point 5, empowering teams to optimize cloud costs with tip detection and remediation tools that drive action.